Good morning. It's Wednesday, October 1st, 2014. This is Tech Talk Today, episode 68. My name is Chris, and man, am I thrilled. The beautiful and in orange, Angela joins me this morning.
Well, hello.
Hi there. You've only just begun sipping on the Mountain Dew this morning. Are you all right? You got the selfie in? You got the Mountain Dew open?
Just got the headache.
Oh, still?
Yeah.
You didn't take the ibuprofen like I said? No, of course not. Of course not. No.
Nope.
No, maybe the Mumble Room will join me in my campaign to have you take a little pain relief. Good morning and time-appropriate greetings, Mumble Room.
Good afternoon, Bill.
Hey. Okay, guys, well, let's jump into our first big story. It broke yesterday. Everybody's talking about it. Microsoft skips the too good to release Windows 9 and jumps directly to Windows 10. Deeming Windows 9 too good to release, Microsoft's execs have shelved the follow-up to Windows 8 and proceeded directly to Windows 10. Yeah, this is true. In fact, the Windows 9 internal beta was a phenomenal success, said the Microsoft PR rep Cheryl Tunt. I mean, it blew away Windows 8 out of the water, and as we all know, Windows 8 was nearly flawless. After discussion at the C-level in Microsoft, it was decided not to mess with success of Windows 9 and just leave it as exactly as it was, and so work began on Windows 10, which will be a public release. The decision to jump to Windows 10 was announced during an all-company meeting by Microsoft CEO Steve Ballmer, who took the stage in front of a banner saying mission accomplished. What? Oh, wait a minute. This is an April Fool's article from April 1st, 2013. This is literally an April Fool's article.
That's is hilarious.
Yeah. So let's actually start with the real news. It is not an April Fool's. Microsoft actually did announce yesterday they will be moving to Windows 10 with public releases coming soon. Here's the actual details. I was just pulling your chain. Microsoft is officially unveiling the next name of Windows. It's Windows 10. While the software maker had referred to Windows 10 internally as Threshold, which was way more badass, Microsoft is officially putting all those rumors to rest, saying it's not Windows TH, it ain't Windows X, it ain't even Windows 1. No, son. It's Windows 10, and they're jumping directly from Windows 8. So here's what you're going to get in Windows 10.
Oh, I can't wait to see.
An expanded start menu. The familiar start menu is back, providing quick one-click access to functions and files that people use most.
That everybody else has on every other device.
Right, but now they have tiles in the start menu. So here, I'll show you. Here's a picture of it. Right there. You see that start menu? You see that? Here, let me play. I'll play this clip for you.
That is so gross.
This is a little demo.
So here I've got a mouse pointer. I'm using the mouse. I click start. I get a start menu. I launch mail. Here's
looks like a clown threw up all over his start menu.
It runs in a window, just as I've been showing you already. Now, when I remove the keyboard and mouse, it prompts, should I enter the tablet mode? And when you say yes, the app is maximized. The taskbar adds a back button for switching. And when you touch start with your finger, it switches itself into the large start mode so that it's really easy for you to pick other apps to navigate around.
So you can see it has a start menu that will change depending on if you're in desktop mode.
So they're marketing to the elderly, I think.
Wow, really?
I don't know.
I smell the stench.
My parents would go for that, actually.
Here.
I could see that, actually. I could see that being an elderly thing. Also, those Metro apps in the past, or modern apps, they will now run in Windows that can be resized on the desktop like standard Windows. Right, I know.
You know, it's kind of funny that you mentioned the elderly. My mom has glaucoma, and she actually prefers the modern interface because it is so crystal clear for her in high contrast.
Yeah, there is that aspect to it. Yeah, it's easier to see, for sure. The Snap enhancements, they've also going to be added a new task view button that enables quicker access to files you have open, and multiple desktops is the other big one. You know what?
I wonder when Linux is going to get that.
Multiple desktops?
Yeah.
Weird.
You troll. So there's a new universal search as well that pulls in results from the web, and Microsoft is, of course, talking that up quite a bit as well.
This is just, I mean, like...
It's canonical strategy.
It's
Ubuntu.
I feel like just that small part of that, what I saw, is just one.
Do you want to see more? Do you want to see more? No?
No.
They also have...
it's sad.
I almost want to show it to you, though, because I'll turn... Indeed. It does seem a little sad. I agree. In fact, let's get into that. I think it is a lot sad. I think that they've basically taken a lot of design concepts from Linux. There's not, so it's not just the multiple desktops and the search functionality, but also when you open and close windows and things like that, it has a very Ubuntu Compiz look to it. It looks exactly like an Ubuntu window looks when it opens and closes. It's a small thing, but it's something that I really enjoy when I use Ubuntu, and they've implemented that here along with the virtual desktops desktops. It does it a lot of like how KDE and GNOME do their virtual desktops. So
You know what? I've seen that smiley face graphic in Ubuntu Rodent. Just kidding.
all right, so I want to talk. Let's before we get because none of us are huge Windows users, so we're not the target audience, anyways. But could we talk a little bit about the name and what the name kind of implies about what I think what is Microsoft's motivation for using Windows 10? I mean, why would you not go Windows 9? In fact, one of the things that's kind of known about Windows is it's like they have like the Star Trek phenomenon where you have a good release then a bad release, a good release and a bad release, and by going to 10, they're actually going to the next bad release number.
No, I would say they're trying to get as far away from Windows 8 as they can possibly get.
Yeah.
Yeah. PC, you wanted to comment on the convergence aspect of Windows?
Yeah. Well, they are just basically copying Ubuntu, but it looks like they've actually achieved what they set out to achieve, rather than Ubuntu where they've spent lots of time messing about. Hopefully, the next Ubuntu release, we might see what they've actually been working on, but Microsoft looks like they've actually done what they set out to achieve.
Yeah, aren't we really just finally seeing the promise fulfillment of what we told we were going to get with Windows 8 and Metro and why Metro was necessary? Isn't this now just like we're finally getting that delivered to us? And I think, too, that it's not bared out yet that that's the right strategy. It could be that you should have a dedicated OS for a dedicated device, and then you have a common set of APIs and programming interfaces so that way application developers can create apps that use common services and functionalities across all of them, but the application itself is specifically built for that device, for touch or for a desktop. I'm not convinced that this convergence approach will work, but Microsoft's definitely going to give it a go, and it's sort of validating at least what Canonical's attempting, I think.
Well, but the thing is, like, okay, so I totally see your point, and I agree with Eric and other people who said that, like, it's good for the elderly or whatever. But it doesn't work if you have to use 58 hotkeys to switch views and stuff. Like, that's not good.
Yeah. Okay, so I want to go back to the name.
Yeah.
I have a theory about the name.
I do too.
And I think it's already working. I think their theory is already working. So we get all caught up in the minutia, right? Mm-hmm. Windows 8.1, which is really NT7 or whatever. Like, we get all caught up in that, but the general public just knows that Windows 8 sucks real bad. And they do, right? Windows 8 sucks real bad. And so 10 is one more better than Windows 8. It's not just 9, but it's 10. So that must mean there's so much space between Windows 8 and Windows 10 that all of these improvements. And I read that the reason I read that April Fool's introduction where they say Windows 9 was such a phenomenal success. This guy was doing satire when he wrote that. That's now actually the Microsoft PR line. Internally, they've developed Windows 9 and it was so good they moved on to 10. No shit, that's actually what they're saying in Microsoft, which is crazy. And it shows how desperate they are, how screwed how much they realize they screwed the pooch. So they're naming it 10 to try to put enough room between Windows 8 and the new product so that way they can desperately sell a few more licenses and hold on to their Windows monopoly as long as possible. But what's your theory, Ange? Because I know you had a good one, too.
Well, I thought, the Windows, they can't market Windows 9 without people maybe accidentally hearing Windows 99. And Windows 99 wasn't too bad, but...
Thinking like 98 and 97, or Windows 98 and ME and...
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think that I think moving to 10, but also there's just...
10 sounds a little sexier, too. It's
well,
like
yeah.
Windows 10. It's a big number.
Yeah.
And now you got OS 10... Right.
Yeah.
So I think that's part of it too. I think it's a little bit of both. Mm-hmm. It seems cheap though. It seems cheap. It seems cheap, especially since it was the source of April Fool's back in 2000.
Do you guys
I mean,
think
it's
that's
not
a name
insane.
thing?
Hold on, one at a time. Hold on, let Eric go. Go ahead, Eric.
Heaven's Revenge has an idea, and I think I agree with him. I'd say go ahead, Heaven's Revenge.
Okay,
and
Heavens,
pass
go.
it back to him.
Aha, yes, there is actually reasoning behind it. 10 means 10 years of support. It's their long-term support release because this is their big upgrade. They are planning to support it with teeny tiny upgrades for 10 years constantly. That's its logic behind it.
All right, I'll take that. That sounds
I have another theory,
a little manufactured after the fact, but I'll
I
take
don't
it.
know,
their
like
conference.
Windows 2000, I guess, was the last major one then?
Well, no,
the
XP
last
and
10
Vista
year?
and no. Now, it sounds like it's a new support structure for this one, which sounds interesting. I think that's pretty
it's not
cool.
called 10 just because they wanted to get away from 8 or based on a number.
I believe you that that's what they're saying. I'm not saying you're wrong, but I'm saying that sounds like kind of like a spin you'd put on it when you've decided you need to do something, you need to take a big step. Not that they wouldn't do it anyways, but that it just to me sounds a little spinny.
You know, Windows goes to 10, but Linux goes to 11.
It would be interesting to see, like,
11.
if they genuinely follow through. I wonder what they have planned there. So let's take what Heaven's saying, right? And let's play with this idea for a minute. This is unquestionably the mea culpa, where they're coming back and saying, okay, Windows 7 users, we're sorry we upset the apple cart. This is your smooth transition path. Business users, this is the one you can now deploy, and we're going to support it for 10 years. And I think the only reason they'd be really going out of their way to do that, because if you think about it from Microsoft's standpoint, it is the worst thing possible for them when they are desperately competing against one of their own successful operating systems. Their biggest competitor has been XP for a long time, and it is a fight that they cannot win against their own product, and it drives them crazy. So for them to be making the decision to essentially put themselves in that position again with Windows 10, to me, indicates, and I wonder if we're about to see some crazy-ass experimentation with the future versions of Windows, and the answer will be, don't like it, go get the LTS. Wouldn't that be interesting, like if you start to see maybe them rebuild Windows or re-architect Windows a little bit? Because let's be honest, it's super crazy old now. So maybe they could dust off some of that old code and clean it up and minimize it a little bit, which would be a bumpy transition. But they could keep saying, but you have Windows 10 if Windows 11 isn't working out for you.
But they have no more ideas to steal from, so how are they going to, do that?
Well, while people are using Windows 10, they'll keep watching Canonical for a while, and then they'll...
Here, I have an interesting theory, and I think you might agree with this. I mean, this is kind of the elephant in the room, is that we have OS 10, and now we've got Windows 10, and not only that, but Windows 10 is going to be Microsoft's last major release of Windows.
No way, you think?
That's what they said.
Yeah, I know, but that sounds like something Microsoft
Well,
guys...
they're just going to rebrand it.
Exactly. Microsoft says a lot of things.
Instead of I something, it's going to be Apple. Just like Apple just
We all have very short-term memories. When Metro was announced, that was one UI for all devices, one common platform, the same exact crap we're hearing about Windows 10 right now, but we all have short memories, and we all see it in a nice fancy presentation, and we all get excited again. But
Chris,
Microsoft says a lot of things.
But
Well, I
Chris,
wasn't
Metro
done.
worked out so well.
I mean,
I wasn't done.
Okay,
We're
no.
on
I wanted to clear that out there because I feel like we're kind of getting lost in some of the marketing. But go ahead, Eric. I'm not.
Right. Well, I think the next version we're going to see is pretty much going to be a point release, 10.1,
Right, yeah,
10.2, just like what Apple is doing. So basically, they will still have versions of Windows coming out. It just won't be huge changes like this one.
I think that'll be really confusing for Windows users.
Well,
honestly.
see, I would argue it's actually been that all along.
I'm sorry, for typical, or for non-educate, or not non. Geez, what am I looking
actually,
for the layman?
I think it'll actually be easier. So today, what we have is, excuse me, what Windows 2000 was simply an iteration of Windows NT 4. What Windows XP was Windows NT 5.1. What Windows Vista was NT 5.5. What Windows 7 was Windows NT 6. Right? Are you following me? In reality, they've always been point releases and minor releases, but they just lacquer them with some new UI and a ton of marketing.
Exactly.
It really is just going to be a refactoring of what Microsoft has always done. And you watch. I guarantee, I promise you, I will bet all of you that over the next few months, the narrative is now going to shift to how great Windows 10 is going to have. It's going to start taking on the same aura that Windows 7 did.
Mm-hmm.
But
Because it's going to work. This naming it Windows 10 is going to work. It will work. And then the mea culpa with the going back to the old stuff, it will work for a little while longer. They're going to stretch this thing out.
I agree. I totally agree with that.
But I think the term refactoring is like a misnomer because it's just going to be the same broken Confusoware with a new GUI slapped on top of it. That,
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I think the problem at the end of the day is that Microsoft can keep messing with the UI, which I think at this point, at least for Windows 7, it's not amazing. It's kind of annoying, but it is extremely functional. It's navigatable with the keyboard. Like the Windows 7 UI, which if they just continue that in Windows 10, is pretty decent. The real issue with Windows is becoming that it's an old, outdated piece of crap under the hood with this janky-ass driver model system, the horrible security exploits, an ancient file system. Like, I could just go on and on. That's truly what the problem with Windows is. Also, it's just not really meant for today's devices. So that's their core issues. Changing the UI every couple of years isn't going to fix that.
Nope.
For
And
sure
it's something
these-
they're unwilling
That's
to
my
fix,
point.
too.
Yeah, they're going to have to work on that. All right, well, we got to get into some crazy other news. We got to move on from Microsoft, some hacker stuff. Oh my goodness, people are getting busted. But first, I want to mention our Patreon page where you can invest in the Jupiter Broadcasting Network and keep our coverage going and keep all of our other shows on the air and also help us invest in future shows. Patreon.com/today. We're trying to get to 400 patrons before our trip to Ohio Linux Fest towards the end of October.
24 days,
24 days. We currently have 347 patrons.
which I believe is 4 up from yesterday, which is awesome.
Is awesome. I'm really hoping we can get to 400. It would be amazing, you guys. That would be incredible, and it would help us cover some of our costs with not just Ohio, but then when we get back, kind of actually right before we're leaving, and when we get back, we have some really big stuff we're working on that we'll need
Yep.
your support for as well. We have different pledge levels over there that we've preset, give you an idea of which your contribution goes to, but any amount that you can afford, it's a simple monthly pledge. Then you get access to the Patreon exclusive activity center where we'll often, semi-often post stuff that's just there only for the patrons. And we have a couple other ideas in the works for what we might do for the patrons as well, not just swag.
Yep.
It's for all of the patrons. So
Yep.
patreon.com/today, and thank you everyone who helps make us do this possible and make it possible. You know what I'm trying to say.
Yep.
You're not making my speech possible, but you're making the shows possible. Okay. Hackers have been charged with stealing over $100 million in U.S. and Xbox technology. I don't know why those two things go together, but this story will tell us. It's kind of nuts. This is being reported on by The Guardian. 4 men have been charged with breaking into the computer systems of Microsoft, the U.S. Army, and other leading game manufacturers such as Valve as part of an alleged internal hacking ring that netted more than $100 million in intellectual property, according to the U.S. Department of Justice yesterday. The 4, aged 18 and 28, are alleged to have stolen Xbox technology as well as Apache helicopter training software and pre-release copies of games such as Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3, according to the indictment that was unsealed yesterday. 2 of the hackers have pledged guilty. These, they say, from the DOJ spokesperson, were extremely sophisticated hackers. Don't be fooled by their ages.
That's interesting.
Yeah, I thought so too. So then I kind of wanted to dig into what they got into. So here's what I found out. According to prosecutors, the defendants stole intellectual property and other proprietary data. So in other words, they copied software. What's always great too is, I'm not condoning this, but it's not stealing when you make an exact perfect copy and you leave an exact perfect copy behind. That's not stealing. Is when you take it and then somebody else no longer has it, right?
Right.
When you make an exact perfect clone of something, that's not theft. It's something. It's not theft though. And I'm not saying it's okay.
Right.
According to prosecutors, the defendants stole intellectual property and other proprietary data related to the Xbox One gaming console and Xbox Live online gaming system and pre-release games. What?
Haven's Revenge says, haha, it's sharing.
Yeah, it is a little bit. They figure they might have gotten up to $200 million in total, but that's been disputed by the people that are defending them. The 4 have been jointly charged with conspiracy to commit computer fraud, copyright infringement, wire fraud, because you're doing it over a wire. Seriously.
Wow.
Mail fraud. I'm not sure why mail fraud. Identity theft. Maybe that's because of the mail fraud. And other theft of trade secrets. They were also individually charged with individual counts of aggregated theft, identity theft, unauthorized computer access, copyright infringement, and more cases of wire fraud. This is all according to a federal grand jury indictment that was unsealed. Other targets of the alleged hacks included Microsoft, Epic, Valve, all according to the DOJ. As the indictment charges, the members of this international hacking ring stole trade secrets and data used by high-tech American products.
Wow.
I don't think the wire fraud charge is going to stick because that that implies that money was transferred over a wire.
Well, but I find it amusing that the United States Army is admitting its complicity to programming its youth with,
I
simulations
wonder,
and-
yeah.
The connection, the link
there's
there
an
is
interesting
not-
connection.
yeah.
The Call of Duty games and all of that. Yeah. All right. So that's just what it is. I think it's interesting to follow the cyber fear porn, but that's all it is right now. It's just fear porn.
Oh, totally.
I want to talk about how you guys are watching our shows. I found this study to be interesting, maybe a little disappointing in that, well, you guys are on the leading edge, but the majority of consumers out there are probably watching their online video when it's connected to a TV on a device that can't stream podcasts. This is according to a Dallas-based market research firm which published a report on American video streaming habits. I don't know how this applies outside the U.S. because they focused on the U.S. market. They studied 10,000 homes, I believe, and here's what they found. almost everyone watches their online video from a gaming console. Like their YouTube, Netflix, Hulu, all like through their Xbox 360 or PlayStation 4. Not a Roku or something like that. Does that surprise you?
No, yeah.
It does.
Yeah, because it seems Roku is really kicking arse.
Well, they've only sold 10 million units, right? So if you think about it, that's not a ton compared to like the Xbox and stuff like that.
But there's so many others too, you know? There was Boxy, there was
Yeah.
Where's that one that starts with a U or something? I don't know.
There's a few of them. There was the popcorn hour that we had for a while.
Hour, but what's the one that's on the mantle there by the TV that you tried?
I can't remember.
Well, anyway, we've had a lot in our house.
And now we've settled on Plex and Roku, and it works really well.
I found you guys through Roku.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of people have. Yeah, a lot of people have. So Roku streaming media players like the Apple TV and the Roku account for 12%. Chromecast accounts for 2%.
That's mine.
Yeah, the functionality built in just like a smart TV, that's over 20%. So you can see just by default is king. By having a smart TV, by being an app on a smart TV, you get 20%. Blu-ray players, 9%. And then DVRs at 12%, which is so sad. So DVRs, man, have they just blown it. But the gaming consoles, the reason why that one kind of bothers me out of all of them is like those are the ones where just you can't make an app for them. Like Microsoft will come to you and like engage in like a $50,000 contract with you to write an app that then has to go through this crazy ass process.
Yeah.
But like it's not like the Roku where you can just make an app and submit it and then a bunch of people find you. So I was a little disappointed to see that the Roku isn't as doing as well as I was hoping, but I think amongst our audience it's probably one of the more preferred methods because they're on the higher end of the technical spectrum. So
Right.
Well, I'm actually using my PS3 to stream Plex because it discovers my Plex media server right away.
Oh, and then it just does it like over DLNA and you just get like a tree in the PS3 menu system?
The biggest problem with the PS3 is that it can't go down lower than 8 levels.
Oh, right.
Oh, are you kidding?
Nope.
So, I mean, I know it's extra money, but is the Roku 3 available where you're at, Lionhead? Because that is a great Plex experience.
I don't know, and I need to check that.
The other thing I've been told, and I really want to get one here for the studio to just test our stuff on it, is I guess the Fire TV from Amazon has a modified version of the Android version of Plex, which is really great. And I guess it's like a very good rewinding and fast forwarding experience in like the video when you're watching on Plex. You can rewind and fast forward super fast. It's really responsive on resuming and streaming. It's supposed to be like the best Plex streaming box right now is the Amazon Fire. My only experience has been with the Roku, which has been great.
Yep.
That's all I have.
But I think even that, like, you're skipping over the meta argument, which is actually that the people who control the content don't want us, making or participating in the content in any way.
Right.
Blah 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 blah.
Right. Microsoft's interest is to have the really big deals with Netflix, Hulu, and content creators. Roku, because they're underdog, it behooves them to have an open app platform and have the independent content.
Well, here's my theory.
Yeah.
Here's my theory. I think the reason we're seeing most of the game consoles take on that market is because you gotta look at the demographic of the type of people who are cord cutters. And those are typically a younger, like, 20-something generation that are doing that. And they're more likely to play games and already have that device.
Yeah, and, like, if you're gonna spend the money, why not spend one that can watch Blu-rays, watch Netflix, and play games?
Exactly. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, well,
and it doesn't require any sort of other, alternative controller, because the control works so great, blah, blah, blah.
That's the argument, and I think that's the logic people get in, and then they buy a console. I also suspect a lot of people buy a console, not like maybe not even the majority, but I think a lot of people buy consoles and then don't use them very much except for to stream.
Right.
And watch movies, and then at that point it's like, oh, I could have saved $200, bought a Roku, and had something silent that uses way less power.
Right.
And I think that's what happens is people first time through, or first couple of times they get the console, and then time goes on, and the next time, I'm just going to get a Roku. Or for the second TV, I'll get a Roku, right? I'm not going to get 2 Xboxes because that'd be $600 or whatever it would be.
Right.
So, all right. Interesting discussion. I'd be curious to hear how the audience watches on their TV. I know most of you probably listen on audio on your mobile player, according to our stats. But for those of you who do watch on your TV, let us know. Go over to techtalktoday.reddit.com and leave a comment in the feedback thread how you watch Tech Talk Today. And don't forget, we'll be back tomorrow for one more day this week, Thursday, jblive.tv, 9 a.m. Pacific, noon Eastern. And that subreddit's also where you go to submit a story, something like that.
Yep.
All right, guys. Well, thanks for being here today. We were talking about these streaming boxes and how the consoles have really locked it down. But I think the real thing here, I really think the mistake was in Tivo. Tivo blew it, man. There was a point in time when people didn't even call it DVR. They called it TiVoing when they didn't even have a TiVo. TiVo was they were on this perfect position to make video streaming from internet creators a reality and integrate it right in with your entire DVR system, and they've blown it. They've blown it.
Well, we were early adopters of TiVo.
Yeah.
Chris lied to me.
Oh, you're gonna tell this story?
Yeah, I'm going
All right, go ahead. No, you can.
He's like, yeah, check out this new DVR. I got it on promotion. I got it free on promotion. This was, we had been dating for 4 years, 3 years by then.
Probably longer. Because that was our second apartment.
Yeah, and so our monies weren't mixed. So I had no way to
that was the best of times.
Yeah. and I only found out later, I can't remember. Did I find out?
Years and years and years and years, and 6 years later, maybe.
Yeah.
So
I was
told.
Yeah, well, it was really cool that you got that for free.
So I got a TiVo, and it was $400 when I bought it, and I didn't want to tell Angela I spent $400 on TiVo, which back then that was on sale because TiVos were going for $800 to $1,000. So I got on a crazy good sale, and I was super proud of myself. But I didn't even want to tell her that, so I told her, "Well, we're kind of like a test house because TiVos are really early, and so they gave it to us for free."
Yeah,
and then,
I know, right?
How did that get leaked? Did I just fess up years later?
I think it was after I found out that you got one of those Mac accounts.
Oh yeah, right.
The Mac developer account.
Yeah.
And I caught you in that lie. His friend John came over from what was his show?
Oh, we were probably doing Joint Failures.
Yeah, Joint Failures. And I was like, "Hey, John, did you hear about Chris's awesome Mac developer account?" He's like, "Yeah, I totally want one." Blah, blah, blah. I'm like, "Oh my God,
you bought one?"
Yeah,
she totally trapped him. Made him think it was
Chris
me.
was out on the barbecue.
Totally, and I come in and she's like, "So you got a Mac developer account?"
So
huh?
you did get it, yeah? Because he told me, yeah.
That was good times. Now there you go. You can see the deep, dark secrets that I harbor in our relationship. They're so dark.
But we have we were early adopters of TiVo, and we had it for a long time. And in fact,
it's
awesome. Still on my bills spreadsheet as being auto deducted every month, but it's not. They stopped.
I love TiVo. I just really wished, and it was Linux based too.
It was great.
Yeah.
It was great.
PC Wiz, final thought on the you were going to make a good point about how streaming can kind of be a bonus.
Well, yeah, most families buy a console for the TV. It sits in the living room and the kids play video games on it from when they get home from school to when they go to bed.
Right.
And then the parents can watch something later.
Yeah, it is perfect.
Little orange is the new black once the kids go to bed. Whoop, whoop. All right, good conversation, guys. So we were talking about Windows, and I was mentioning how you just wait and see that the whole Windows 10 hype is going to work this time. The PR machine's going to go in their favor. It's already going to happen. Well, back in the day, back in the 80s, when you couldn't even order Windows online, you had to order it through the mail, they had to generate hype another way. This is one of the most famous Microsoft clips of all time, so you've probably seen it, but I've never had a better excuse to roll it out other than a new announcement of the next version of Windows. So, ladies and gentlemen, I present you the original Windows salesman.
How much do you think this advanced operating environment is worth? Wait just 1 minute before you answer. Watch as Windows integrates Lotus 123 with Miami Vice. Now we can take this Ferrari and paste it right into Windows Right. Now how much do you think Microsoft Windows is worth? Don't answer. Wait until you see Windows Right and Windows Paint, and then listen to what else you get at no extra charge. The MS-DOS Executive, an appointment calendar, a card file, a notepad, a clock, a control panel, a terminal, a print spooler, a RAM driver, and can you believe it? Reversi! That's right! All these features in Reversi, all for just, how much did you guess? 500? 1,000? Even more? No, it's just $99! That's right! It's $99! It's an incredible value, but it's true! It's Windows from Microsoft! Order today! P.O. Box 286 DOS, except in Nebraska.